is our second day of strike action for fair pay in higher ed. Universities up and down the country are on strike against a 1% pay offer, which is, in the last 5 years, in real terms, a pay cut to the tune of 13%. There is still a persistent gender pay gap in higher ed, and there are 4,000 staff below the living wage, which is why we're on strike today. And we were on strike on the 31st of October because we said enough is enough. We're not going to put up with this. We're not going to accept a pay cut year on year. Until the employers come up with a better offer than 1%, we'll be out again and again.
We're on strike today, the 3rd of December, in liaison with our colleagues in Unison, but also across the UK with Unite and EIS in Scotland, and our further education colleagues in UCU in England. We think it's important to actually stand up to fight against austerity and to give students the quality of education that they require, and people are really starting to suffer. We think it's important to actually stand up to fight against austerity and to give students the quality of education that they require.
About 40% of all people who work in the Met are on 0-hour contracts. They have like no teachers. Yeah. So like they're officially they're just like more like guest lecturers type things. They don't, but actually they're still working full time. But very easily they can turn around and be like, you don't want to be taught by someone who thinks they might lose their job anytime. I want to be taught by someone who loves their job, who's really into it.
The employers have claimed there's no money for our pay, and yet they've got billions in surplus, a record of surplus. They've got an average salary for vice-chancellors, £242,000 a year. There are some VCs on over £400,000 a year. It's unfair that the vice-chancellors give themselves £10,000 on average pay rise last year, and yet our pay is once again cut year on year. We tried to negotiate, and yet all we've got from the employers is no, we're not willing to give any more money. We're willing to talk, but we're not willing to actually make an improved offer, which is not the spirit of negotiations. They claim we're in the public sector and the government has imposed a public sector pay freeze, so there's nothing they can do. They claim that they can't possibly pay the living wage because they're in a marketplace and they must be competitive with the private sector, which is just absurd, and that would just lead to the race to the bottom if that were to apply to everyone.
The university are proposing significant cuts in the faculties of social science and humanities. Dozens and dozens of hourly paid lecturers who teach on these courses are threatened with redundancies, and full-time senior lecturers who teach in these areas are having their jobs cut from full-time down to fractional posts.
They're also particularly requiring cuts to be made in research institutes. I think the university leadership think that research is a luxury which working class students can't afford, whereas it's part of building an environment in which critical thinking can flourish. The last thing employers want is critical thinking. They just want people who can follow instructions, and we're not really in the game of doing that. We're in the game of trying to get people to understand and criticise the world around them.
This is higher education and further education coming out together to demand that we have action. We're here today not just about the money, not just about the pay, but it's about where education is going now. It's about the privatisation of education. It's about the commodification of education. It's about the fact that we're out as much for our students as we are for ourselves.
Teachers and lecturers in FE and HE, like teachers everywhere, are sick and tired of having their profession undermined by vicious micromanagement, target-driven bullies to do more and more work. Our students are suffering because we don't have time to be proper teachers anymore, and our lives are becoming intolerable as workloads increase, while at the same time, costs of living, costs of travelling to work, bills, food and childcare is rising to unaffordable levels.
At the same time as we're taking strike action today, students are occupying in at least 6 colleges up the country, and we have to give total support to those occupations, and also solidarity with students in this area like Michael Chesham, who've been arrested for simply holding legitimate demonstrations. We say cops off campus and also defend University of London Union, which is also under attack from management, who want to close the Democratic Student Union and replace it with a student service centre run by management.
Our college, where we got the usual management on six-figure salaries, the usual round of consultants, those parasites of education who swan around our institutions on 700 a day, our management decided that it wanted to cut the pay of the lowest paid workers in our college and attack the cleaners who were on the minimum wage of £6.31 per hour. To cut costs, management said that they would only pay the cleaners for 39 weeks of the year instead of 51, a 23% pay cut. And you know what's really brilliant is that the cleaners, the vast majority of them are African women, never been politically organised, never done anything to any protests or any activity. 14 of them have now joined the GMB union, and 3 weeks ago they came out and did their first protest. Since then, we've had 3 big protests outside the college. Caretakers, security staff, catering staff are joining the union to demand the living wage. And I had the wonderful spectacle on Wednesday morning of seeing a vice principal in a suit outside the college with a screwdriver trying to scrape off a poster in support of the cleaners because they couldn't ask the cleaners or the caretakers to go and clear it up. Management have been forced to say that for all new tenders, they will make London living wage a condition. We are going to press further and insist that that happens for all existing staff.
Justice for Us Cleaners campaign started in 2006 after so much injustice from the cleaning companies, and that time we were paid the minimal wage. From 2007 to 2008, there was a huge campaign here. We won the London living wage and also we won the union recognition. Unfortunately for us, we didn't win to be brought back in-house with the same terms and conditions like the rest of the SOAS university staff. And these universities preach and teach every single day human rights, worker rights, equality law, and everything like that. In the classroom that is cleaned every day, every single day by us, but it's not put into practice. They did something very bad to us. After won the London living wage and won the union recognition, this university with the cleaning company called for a meeting, morning meeting. In that meeting was not a meeting. They were they called immigration officers, and the immigration officers they took 9 of our colleagues. They were with no documents, and also they were deported 9 of our colleagues in that time, 2009. So that was a punish for us because of the union organized the campaign, taking away like a criminal in handcuffs. That was very bad. Because of my role, last year I was suspended. All the SOAS community came out to this university. We have 2 huge demonstrations to support me in my suspension. I was suspended almost for 2 months, and then I got my job back because they couldn't get rid of me.
No ifs, no buts, no education cuts, fair pay now. No ifs, no buts, no education cuts.